Recording in progress. All right, welcome. I'm so excited that we're getting to meet tonight. It's so wonderful to see your faces. I understand not everybody can show their face, but if you can, show it because it's really encouraging to all of us. 3 people entered the waiting room. Hold on just a second. Okay, so we are planning on meeting like once a month to chat during this Rise to Rank challenge, and hopefully we'll continue. Whatever leaders would like to continue, and just kind of share what we're doing, share how it's going, share our tips and tricks and like what's working for us. I feel like I need to have someone else start just because I'm admitting people into the thing. But so we're getting together and we're just going to chat. It's like we're all in the same room together. We are all a part of this one big family together. We're all learning. We all are committed to the business, recommitting to the business. And this is super exciting. I'm just like overwhelmed. I feel like I'm going to cry right now. Like, I really do. I'm shocked at how many people are on this call, and that is, and in a very, very good way. This is amazing. So thank you guys for coming. So we were going to talk about a couple different things tonight. We were going to share our hearts and then see if you guys had anything that you wanted to talk about, share, or have any questions or anything you want to talk about. But first off, I want to kick off by saying, like, I'm Gina Lichtenberger. If you don't know who I am probably in your upline. If you got this link from your diamond or in one of our groups, then and you don't know me, I'm probably in your upline. So I'm here to support you in any way that I can. And I love you. And I love all of our leaders who are on here and sharing their hearts. But one thing we've been talking about a lot lately in our diamond thread is just how the importance of right now getting back to the very beginning. So once you get to a certain point, I see people on this call who are at all different levels. I see faces that I've seen for 6-7 years, and I see faces that I've only seen for like, a couple of months. So I know everyone's at a different place. But even if you've been here for 6 or 7 years, and especially, it might even be harder for you. I think about it like I used to be a teacher. Like I was a teacher before any of this, before I was a stay-at-home mom. And I feel like sometimes it was harder for me to be a homeschool mom. So I homeschooled for 7 years before I put my kids in school, and then I took them back out. But that's a different story for a different day. But I would look at my friends who weren't teachers before, who were homeschooling, and I would be like, y'all are killing it. Like, why is it so easy for you? Why is everything coming so naturally to you? It's because I was trying to make my homeschool look like my classroom, which the whole reason you homeschool is so that your kids don't have to be in a traditional classroom and you don't have 30 kids to manage and all that kind of stuff. So in a lot of ways, I was at a disadvantage coming from all the experience that I had in the school system, trying to homeschool my kids. So people are like, well, you're a teacher, you know what you're doing. No, actually, it's way worse, way harder for me to like step out of that role. And I think a lot of us who've been in the business for a really long time are kind of in that same place where we did it a certain way for a long time. And like that became the way that we did it. And then, and that way is not working anymore. Not only is it not working, but we don't want to do it that way anymore. Like, we don't want to do the hustle. We don't want to burn ourselves out. We're doing this for freedom. Like, we literally chose this career so that we would have time freedom with our families, freedom to live the life that we wanted. And then for the first, part of our career in Young Living, we didn't know what we were doing. We weren't doing it on purpose. We just were like, I don't know what I'm doing. And I'm like trying to, keep up with all these people. So I'm going to try this and I'm going to try that. And it looks like this is working and that's working. So next thing you know, we're working around the clock. We always used to talk about working in the gaps. We're literally like working 24 hours a day, in between changing diapers, in between school, in between everything, but nothing was getting our full attention. And so while that did work for a season, a lot of people got super burned out. And it wasn't sustainable. And we were not able to take care of our people our people at home or our people that we've enrolled in the way that they really needed us to, because we were just constantly moving forward. So what the kind of the consensus that we've gotten to is we need to have a realistic look at this business. It is a business. If we're going to look at it as something that we're going to do long term or we're going to enjoy, then we have to get back to the very basics of what works. Why did we start? How did we start in the beginning? Because I can tell you in the very beginning, my business took off. It just took off from me being authentic and sharing and giving away oils and literally just like wanting to help my friends and family. Like I didn't even want my business to take off, but it took off anyway. It took off in spite of me not wanting it to take off because I was generously sharing information and oils and products and time with people. And then I decided that's not how a real business person works. So I've got to do all these other things, which, I'm not going to say all those things were bad, but like I said, it got us all to a point where we were spinning out where, it wasn't great. It wasn't a great thing. And when I look back at it, the time when I was enrolling the most people, when I had the most intentional connections, when I was developing leaders was in the beginning, when I wasn't doing all of that crazy stuff. It was when I was just being authentic, sharing. So the main thing that I want to say in my part of this talk is just, we got to get back to, why did you start? What are your favorite testimonies? When was the last time you shared your most earth-shattering testimony? When was the last time you developed a new testimony? I mean, we talk about this all the time. Like when you get stuck, I used to say this in the beginning and I haven't said it in a while, but like, if you ever get to a point where you're stuck in your business, when was the last time you solved one of your own health problems or like a health issue in your family? Because we always have stuff that comes up, health or emotions or household. Like there's always something that we can be working on. And if we can get back to that, like if we feel stuck and we can get back to like what, solving an issue, solving a problem, and then having a testimony and having an aha moment and just getting out there and sharing, then we're right back on the track and we're attracting people. Oh, there's more people in the waiting room. We're attracting people. I've shared with some of you guys that like in the last couple months, I've signed up a handful of people. And I literally have not talked about, I've not asked anyone to sign up. I have not even made it a point to try to sign people up. I've just been sharing more authentically again, like I did in the beginning. And people are coming out of the woodwork to me. The people that come to me to sign up now, it's just like it was in the beginning where I'm like, wait, what? I haven't even talked to you about oils like in forever. And then they're just coming. They're just like coming back. And it's because I've gotten back to the very, 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 very basics. And that brings me back to what I was saying. Like, it's so hard once you've done it a different way to come back to the very, very basics of like, no, we're going to start back at the very beginning and we're going to share and we're going to give oils away and we're going to not look at numbers constantly. We're going to not like always be obsessing about how many enrollments did I have or, what rank am I or what am I trying to get to? We're just going to share authentically. And that draws people to us. So if I could say anything, I would say, if you are in the beginning, great, because you are in that phase. So think about what kind of health issues that you would like to solve and start taking notes, start making a plan, work that plan for 90 days. We always talk about how it takes at least 90 days of using oils and supplements or any kind of new change to see a change in your life. I mean, it didn't take me that long with what I was trying to fix, thank God, but I was willing to commit that long. But it usually does. It depends on what you're trying to tackle there. So that's my little spiel about getting back to the beginning. And then I know we have other diamonds that want to share, and I want to save time for you guys too. But I know Elizabeth was going to share specifically about finding time to work this business so that you can have freedom. So I'm going to turn it over to Elizabeth and Chris.
Hey guys, so we're so happy to be here. I'm Elizabeth. This is my husband, Chris, and We lead our team, Crave Community. We have lots of them on here tonight. I'm so excited. They're amazing girls. I would love to hear in the comments if you are new to the biz or if you've been doing it for a long time. I think that would even help us to kind of like get a pulse on like where everybody is. And if you haven't done this yet, we would encourage you to get an oil, any oil next to you, and put it on. This is a thing we do with our girls. We do weekly accountability meetings every week. And we put it on and we say, well, one of my girls could jump on and say what we say, but we say, I am calm, I am at peace, I have all the tools necessary to do my business. And so we just repeat that, because then when you smell the oils that are like calming to you, your brain is going to associate those calm feelings when you're doing your work. So we encourage you to use the same oil while you are doing your time, like your work time, because we're going to talk about that a little bit today. So just like Gina was talking about, we all, when we first started, especially if you've been doing this for a long time, we kind of created some unhealthy habits doing this business and running ourselves ragged. And yes, it did get us where we are, but like at what cost? You know, like I'm grateful. Like my husband and I, we work full time with Young Living. We're able to homeschool our kids. We have a lot of time freedom, and I'm so thankful for my past self. But we have learned a better way, and we want to teach you guys a better way on how to create a sustainable business long term, right? We want to be in it for the long game, like longevity. We don't want to have this like stop, start, stop. Like that's not healthy. It's not sustainable. It's not even like, that's not good business practice, right? So if you want to have a sustainable business, we have to treat it like a business, and we can do it right from the start in a healthy way. So Melissa, actually, if you watched her video like last week, I think it was last week, she shared on healthy habits, right? Like making time for the things that matter. And like our girls know, like we will never tell them to put work over exercise, eating. Like guys, there was a time where like a lot of us like didn't even eat like lunch or dinner because we were working, and like that is not healthy. That's not sustainable. So eating, exercise, whether it's a walk, whether it's whatever, like spending time with your family. And so a way I like to describe what like Gina was saying when we were doing like this business and like the nooks and crannies. And that's very enticing at first, like those 5 minutes here, you're just, when you're a mom, a stay-at-home mom, or working, like you feel like that's all you have sometimes, like this nooks and crannies, like in between wiping butts and feeding kids, And the problem with that, if you don't have a set time, literally it can be 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour, how like work yourself up to like more time, but start small and give yourself a win. Okay. Is and build trust with yourself. Okay. Build trust that you can do this. But the problem is when we're just grasping for 5 minutes here and there and 10 minutes, 15 minutes there, it's very like scarcity mindset. It's not abundance mindset, because you feel like you never know when that next 5 minutes is going to be, right? Like you're just like, I got to do this really quick because I don't know when I'm going to get another 5 minutes. But if you have that time set aside, whenever it is, whether you're waking up earlier than your kids, whether it's during nap time, whether it's 45 minutes, an hour, at night instead of watching a show, like whatever that time looks like, where you're setting like some boundaries and some discipline, it creates so much more freedom, guys. So a lot of you probably homeschool, right? Like we homeschool, Melissa homeschools, Gina, like there's a lot of homeschoolers family, and there's a lot of people at work. The thing is, when I was homeschooling and I was always looking at my phone instead of like being focused where I am, like Gina said a great quote the other day, it's like mindfulness, like be what did she say? Like where your body is, our mind should be, essentially. So like if we're sitting with our kids teaching them, that's where our mind should be with our kids. If we're working, that's where our mind should be. And so it gave me so much more freedom when we started setting time aside. Yes, we work, 3, 4, 5 hours a day now. the thing is, when I was homeschooling and I was just looking at my phone all the time and not focusing on my kids because I didn't have that time set aside. You get what I'm saying? But now I have that time set aside so I can be focused and like present, knowing I don't have to answer that message right now. I can answer it when it's my work time because I know that's coming. I have that set aside. Do you get what I'm saying? It's abundance, it's freedom. Um, and I just lost my train of thought, but do you have anything else to say about
Yeah,
that?
and as you're trying to find this stuff, so we hear the story, like we've heard it since we were like little tiny kids, right? The tortoise wins the race, right? Not
Mhm.
the hare, right? And so if you're needing some time, we would really encourage you, like Elizabeth said a minute ago, is like to find 20-30 minutes of time today, or over in the next week. Talk to your spouse, talk to your family, and say, hey, it's really important that I have these 30 minutes here, right? Because a lot of times, if you could hear this message, a lot of times you're like, okay, well, I just need focused time on my business, right? And so you're like, all right, I'm going to time block 3 hours right here, from 0 to 3 hours. None of us can do that, right? Like, you're setting yourself up for failure. You might even be able to do that tomorrow. You might do it the next day, but over time you're going to fail. It's like that person. So if you set New Year's resolutions, it's now February the 21st. Most of you probably failed them. I know I did, whatever they were, right? And oftentimes it's because what we do is we're like, what's the most common one? Like, I just want to lose weight. I want to get more active. I want to work out, right? And so people are like, I'm going to go work out for an hour a day, every single day. But like a week before, you weren't even like you were walking to the fridge. Maybe you probably didn't even, you just sent your kids to the mailbox because you wouldn't even walk that far, right? But then the next week you're like, I'm going to work out an hour a day every single. It's never going to happen. And so it's the same thing. If we're
We
not,
will work out, but
you will.
we have to build trust with
Correct.
ourselves
Build
and work
trust.
ourselves up to that.
And so it might look like putting leggings on to build. So the biggest thing is to build some momentum. And so we would rather someone show up 20, 30, 40 minutes a day consistently than like have an 8-hour push and then be like, well, for those 8 hours, my kids were bad. I didn't give them any attention. Because right, like we fall on that pendulum. Because of this, now everything went to crap, and so now I can't do that anymore, right? And so then we go back and forth. And so that's
I
where it
mean,
can help.
all of us women can understand the pendulum, right? We swing back and forth, and it's very drastic. We're hot or cold a lot of times. Like, I want to do all of these things, and then I can't do anything. Like, we do that, all of us, okay? Especially during certain times of the month for us. But there is a beautiful balanced place, and it is going to be messy sometimes. What I call is the messy middle. It's not going to be perfect, but it's progress over perfection. And it is beautiful. It is beautiful. And sometimes you're going to be met with resistance. Okay. That is okay. When you're trying something new, you have to give yourself grace and compassion. Like, we do this thing with our kids. They have trackers where we're wanting to just implement healthy habits with them. And so they have certain things they have to do every day to like earn, technology and an allowance basically. But it's just creating healthy habits for the future, essentially. And the first week, let me tell you guys, it was a crap show. Like, it was horrible. Like, we were already doing these things, but because they had to track it, it was just like this. It was horrible. It was a lot of resistance at first. But if we had just given up and we just like, well, this is not going to work. This is too hard. And we didn't push through and lean into it, we would have missed out on so much goodness that our kids now are flourishing with a lot of these things because it is healthy boundaries. And so if you are met with resistance, I just want to encourage you to have grace and compassion for yourself as you're trying something new. Just like Chris said, we can't expect to just be good at something and perfect right in the beginning. Like he said, if we're barely doing anything the week before, and then we want to work out an hour every day, that's just not realistic. Set yourself up for success. And some of the diamonds may have some, they may want to be talking about this, but like, practical things of setting yourself up for success is going into the Life Steps app, in going through a course or going through the IPAs, like having things in front of you when you sit down with that undistracted, focused time, that you're ready. You're not spending your 20, 45 minutes, like wondering what you're going to do and just like piddling your thumbs. Be ready. Take on Sundays your planning day, or, you know, Mondays, whatever it is, to set intention for the week. And then you know what you're doing. Because the thing is like, we don't have to hide behind, like, we can be business women. Like, we can own that and be like, I'm doing this and I'm going to do it well with a lot of intention and grace, and I'm going to mess up, but we're going to get up and do it again. And I'm going to be present with my family, and I'm going to take care of my people. And don't believe the lie that you can't do that, because you can. You are worthy and capable, and you can do it. It's just going to take some grace and some discipline, but there's so much freedom and abundance that comes from it. So that is mainly really all that I wanted to say. But just know that you guys are just, it's an awesome time to be in Young Living. I truly, because we have so many incredible resources. And I know it's been a weird time in the last year to two, but like, that's also part of business. And that is like, this is real life. This is real life business. And a lot of times we think that our girls know this, because we talk about it all the time, that we think that growth is supposed to be linear, right? That's what we expect. We expect it with exercise. We expect it with anything new, that we're just supposed to just like, you know, grow like in this straight line, just be linear. And that is just not how growth happens. A lot of times it's up and down, up and down, up and down. And a lot of times it's like, just almost feels like nothing for a long time. And then like after a while, all of a sudden you just see this incline, this growth, and you're like, whoa, what is happening? Like, where did this come from? What am I doing? I must be doing something right. But we cheapen all that we were doing right here, because this stuff matters. The consistency piece of where you showed up when it felt hard, it felt awkward, you felt like you weren't doing it right, all that. And then all of a sudden, just whoop, you start growing. And that is, we see that often so many times. And we think it's this overnight success. We even see it with a lot of people, influencers, everything, like, oh, this overnight success, when we forget there's a whole bunch of work that goes right here, and we cheapen that for everyone. So don't cheapen it for yourself. That work is compounding together. Those small, smart choices plus time plus consistency equals radical difference. And it's going to be a good year. I feel it.
I love that. I love everything that you just said. And what you said at the very end, it reminds me of, like, I have the advantage, and some of us on here have the advantage of being a little bit older and just experiencing so many different things in life that follow that same principle. I know when you're young, I mean, I remember whenever I was young, you know, you decide you're going to like lose weight or you're going to do whatever. I mean, especially when it's a health goal, like you're going to do it and then it immediately happens. But I remember whenever I was 40 specifically, I mean, I'm 48 now, but when I was 40, I remember that I started a new exercise regimen, and I was like literally exercise. I mean, my exercise and diet were stellar, like out of control, something that if I did that in my 20s, I would have like dropped 10 pounds in a month and like just been like rock solid or whatever. But I remember that I literally kept that up for 3 months straight before I even saw 1 pound of difference before anything. And then after, it was like exercising every single day and eating right every single day. And after 3 months of that continuously, and just telling myself like, my heart is more important than my weight or anything else. Like, I'm doing this for my mental health and my heart. Then all of a sudden, after all of that, then it started happening, and then it started happening fast. And then I started losing weight like pretty fast. And I lost a great deal of more weight than I needed to. And I got in great shape. But if I would have stopped at any point in between there, like it wouldn't have happened. And it took a full 3 months to kick my metabolism into gear. And that sucks whenever you're trying so hard, but it's the same thing with our business. And I've also seen it with so many other things. I've seen it with mental health. I've seen it with, things with my kids and with my family. And I just think the more experience you have, the easier it is to stick with it. I see other people on here who are my age or older who like also just know like it just takes commitment. And there are hardly any things in this world that are going to be like quick fixes or overnight successes. And some of us saw some pretty quick success in Young Living. And so because of that, it kind of, it jaded the way that we saw things, but now we're coming at it at a more realistic, from a more realistic viewpoint. So I appreciate that. Thank you so much, Elizabeth and Chris. I always love hearing from you guys. You guys are so amazing. All right, who else? Who else wants to share? Call anybody out or just ask for questions? I honestly just can't remember who else said on our diamond thread that they wanted to share something. So I'm not trying to call anybody out. Unless you want to. Okay.
I don't have anything prepared or anything. I'm listening to what you guys are saying. And I feel like to go off of Elizabeth and Chris, it's okay. So now we have our time block figured out, right? And then we need to figure out, a lot of people I'm hearing from a lot lately are saying, okay, I have the time, I want to do this, but I don't know what to do. So they're like, what do I share about? So I started thinking about it today. Ryan and my husband were talking about like, what were the things we shared when we first started? And for us, I shared about our son when we adopted him from China. He did not sleep. It was a bad, like 8 months when he first came home. He slept like 6 hours a day and he was 17 months old. So all you mamas know that's not near enough time. And I shared about it. White Angelica, cedarwood, over and over and over and over. And I felt at times like, man, I should probably shut up about that. It's like, I've talked about it all the time, but it's literally how I grew my business. Mary, like the diamond that I signed up, she heard about, the oils or whatever. And she's like, I need my kid to sleep too, and everyone has something like that. So you might never resonate with one thing. So like find a couple things, because it wasn't just that for us. It started with that, with White Angelica and cedarwood. And then it turned into, whatever, this is not compliant, but getting rid of ear infections for my little one. He had 14 ear infections his first year home. And we were doing all the things that my son had a cleft lip and palate, for those of you who don't know. So we, at our cleft clinic, they kept giving us, all these meds over and over and over again. And I didn't know at the time, this was, 8 years ago, whatever it was. And I kept doing what they were saying. And then finally I woke up and was like, what the heck am I doing? This isn't working clearly if he's had 14 ear infections in a year. So I started revamping everything and changing it all. And he hasn't had one since. And it's been now, I guess since then, 7 years. They still will not admit that I was right. It drives me nuts at the cleft clinic. But I mean, I know I'm right. I don't care if they know it. I know I made a difference here because we started a complete wellness, preventative routine with him. But sharing about that too, it was like, that was the sleep thing was first for me. Then it was that. And I just kept sharing it over and over and over, to the point where I was honestly kind of getting sick of hearing myself talk about it. But it grabs someone new every single time, and it helps people. And that is something that you need to figure out what that is for you. So yes, like Elizabeth and Chris say, your hero products, figure out what they are. And if you don't know yet, that's a great place to start. Figure out what is a problem for you. We talked about it for years, like your pain points, our pain points and other people's pain points. What are they, and how can you figure that out? Because then you figure out how to share with others and help other people. And, those are two things that I would share about, but then I would share about things like just to give you guys some ideas, like skincare. What's your favorite skincare item? Is there something, like for me, I have rosacea, and to be able to share with people, because people who have rosacea know, like, it's very hard to have skincare not burn your face. I can use almost every single skincare product that we have in Young Living, and it doesn't irritate my face. That's a huge deal for people with sensitive skin. So just sharing something like that. It's difficult too. A lot of you I've seen in the comments have been with this for a while. And, you get so used to this becoming our lifestyle. because hopefully, we have the people who just order peppermint and lavender and lemon every single month, but we have people like us who, like, when we started and saw major change, we were like, yes. And we were like, what else can we do? What else can we do? What else can we do? And we started doing and really creating the lifestyle with it. So I feel like if we can help other people to do that, that is huge. I lost my train of thought a little, but guys, it's 8:34. This is not a good time for me. I'm like usually in my bed by now. But so things like, I'm trying to think of other options, like whatever, you figure it out. But the point is, offer value and share your story with it. Don't just share information like, this is Thieves, this is what Thieves does. People really don't want to hear that. They want to hear, how did it help you and how is it going to help me? And that is what we just need to get back to sharing. Another thing, I don't know about supplements, like what you guys are, your favorite supplements are, but for me, one of the first supplements that I really, really like saw a huge impact. There's several, obviously, but we call Super B on our team, we call it the Happy Mama supplement, because I just remember the first time I took it, going to the grocery store and being like in this super happy, like upbeat mood. And I was like, what the heck? Why am I so happy at the grocery store? And then I came home and realized I took Super B and I was like so full of energy and felt like alive. It made such a difference for me. And I feel like just sharing that, we had so many people, hundreds of people buying Super B, because it made it a story. It made it something that they could understand. Like, I want to feel like that. I want to have energy. I want to be happy at the grocery store, So I feel like if we just share stories sell, that's what they say, right? And it's really true. So if you can figure out what those things are for you, what are those things that have made the most impact for you? And then just start there, start sharing that stuff. It's just huge. And again, I enrolled like 300 to 400 people in my career with Young Living. And I would say a large majority of them are just from those 3 stories. So just keep sharing them over and over and over and over and over, right? That's all. I didn't have anything serious prepared, but that just stuck with me. It's like, okay, well, you have the time. What do you do with it? You got to start with something, right? So just start sharing and, vary it up too. Like, don't always stick with, I don't know. For me, what I remember, do you guys remember Lindsay Moreno? Is that her name? Lindsay Moreno, right? Sorry, that's horrible. But she had a book called Boss Up. I wouldn't agree with half of it probably now, because it was definitely the hustle kind of culture. But she really taught a lot of smart things too, about how you would like batch your posts. So go around your house and like take pictures of things as you're doing them. You might not have the time to do it right then, but just take the picture as you're doing it. And then on a Sunday night, whatever day you would have time, just start like scheduling things out and getting it ready. So then you're not spending that time every single day, like, oh, what am I going to post about today? And don't do oils, Young Living, Young Living, like add a thing of value, share about something healthy you're eating for that day. Share if you got your butt up out of bed and, exercised in the morning, share whatever it is, but you can share your whole lifestyle and still have it be grabbing people without it being like actually about Young Living. Because people, like I had a girl today who I haven't talked to in probably a year and a half. And she wrote to me and said, where are you finding your healthy food recipes lately? Because she thought of me when it had to do with health and wellness, because that is what I have become known for now with what I share. So just make yourself the person that people think like, we don't have to be the expert, but make them think like, she's doing this, she's living this. It's not just talk, she's living this out. And I want to know what she has to say. It's how they'll come to you. So anyway, I'll shut up now.
Can I add in? I think another thing is just to always be looking for the need. If you open your ears and sometimes close your mouth and just start listening to what people are saying to you. And obviously, I mean, if you've been around for any amount of time, you've heard be a product of the product. So always have your oils on you. They're always in my purse. I've always got like my insect repellent is always in my bag, things like that. Like always have the things that you're using on a regular basis. And if you hear somebody say something, hey, do you need this? I know Amber and Melissa have the story about the deep relief, and that's how they got started. And there's so many stories like that where it's like, and like, I can't tell you the number of times if my insect repellent has gotten people like talking like, oh my gosh, that smells amazing or whatever. Just have them on you and make sure that you're using them. And then if somebody says to you, oh my gosh, my stomach, it feels so gross, be like, oh, here, you want to try some DiGize? You know, if you have it with you. And I don't mean like so I grew my entire business mostly in person. I would never been a big online person. I actually would really love to get off Instagram altogether. Cause I like, it's just not my jam. But so I definitely, I'm not like a spammy person in terms of like grossly messaging people asking them to try products, things like that. What I mean is like my personality is like, if I am with a person and I see them, I'm not saying all you social media people, you guys do, what you're, you know it better than I do. But I'm talking about like when I'm sitting next to somebody and they mentioned something, I'm like, oh, I have something for that. So I think that's just, always remember that. And one of the things we were talking about in our diamond thread today was, just really, remembering why you started this and remembering why you started sharing, which for me was, another similar sleep story. Like my baby actually slept. And so now I'm at the point right now where I can give oils away, and I do give oils away. So if somebody says, my daughter's having all kinds of, whatever issue, I'm like, here, have this and try this. If it doesn't work, you can give it back to me. If it works, keep it. It's fine. And I'm not saying that if it's not in your budget, don't go do that. There was a time when I never would have done that, but I can now. So, but inevitably they come back to me and they say, oh my gosh, thank you so much. And so I've just kind of gotten back to the basics of remembering why I do this. It's because I love the products, and I would be sharing even if I didn't get paid. Like that's been the whole thing. I've always thought that the paycheck is the icing on the cake here. And it really is truly about getting oils into every home and sharing the products that have absolutely changed my life. So just remember, always have them on you and be sharing them. And, I'm not saying you have to give away all your expensive rollers and all that stuff, but we want people to experience what we have in a simple way. Like I always think about Amber and Melissa, just swiping that deep relief on the back made a huge difference in their lives. So
I'm going to piggyback on that because we just visited with some family today, and she, is my husband's aunt, and she has had like a 5-day headache. She'd had a stroke about a year ago. And so she gets these really intense, headaches. And she had just bought her starter kit in December, and was moving and hasn't had time to really get it open. And I had in my little purse on me, I had the CBD column roller, I had deep relief, and I had Valor. I had her whole kit too, but I had those rollers, and I was like, will you let me put oils on you? You were in so much pain. And she was like, yes, please. So I did the CBD calm roller first, and I waited a few minutes, and then I did Valor, and then I waited a few more minutes, and I did deep relief. And every single time she was like, oh my goodness, the scent of it just feels so good. I just feel like my brain is just opening up. And it was just so neat to be able to put, she just let me rub them on her and rub it into her neck, and just it just felt so powerful to feel that, and just to feel her, to see her eyes physically starting to open better. And just sharing that was just, I don't know, I'm getting all teary just thinking about it, but just yeah, don't be afraid, as long as they're open to it, to put oils on people and to share them with them. People are looking for answers to things. I mean, some people may think you're a little out there, but it was just really powerful today. And then I went through, they're just moving into their new house. They just had a cross country move, and she had ordered 2 diffusers. And so I set them all up for her and set all her oils up for her. And she was just so happy by the time I left. And it was just such a fun day, and such a reminder of just the power of being there in person. Social media is awesome, but being able to do that for someone else and them, walk them through the diffuser themselves and them not to feel so confused and empower them to do it themselves was just really, really cool. And I'm like, I have got to get back to doing this when I sign people up, especially if they're local to me, and just being like, let me know when it comes in, let me come over and help you, and just take the time to do that. Cause it was just, and she messaged me after and just, I'm so happy. I just feel like my house feels so amazing and smells so good. And just thank you for taking the time. Like, she was happy I did it. So just a good reminder to not be afraid to help people out in that way. So that's all I have to say.
I love that so much, Amber. And what you just said made me think of what a lot of people feel whenever you said they might think you're strange, or they might think you're weird at first, or whatever. I don't know exactly what you said, but like the truth of the matter is that they don't. Like, we always think they're going to think that we're weird. And I have had one person, I mean, I have a story of one of my silvers who literally, like, I brought her some lavender because she was struggling with allergies. Really.
Dina, can you let Vanessa in?
Oh yeah, I didn't see that.
Vanessa Williams trying to get in.
Thank you. I'm glad that you saw that. But our children's pastor at the time, Amanda Snow, who's one of our silvers, like, she tells a story of, I brought her, like, she constantly had the most horrible allergies. And finally I just like brought her. I was back then in 2012, like, I was afraid to share oils with anybody at my church because they were weird about it. But I brought her the lavender and I was like, hey, I know this will help you with I just know that this is going to help you with your allergies. And she was like, thank you so much. And she did at the time. She admits now that she threw it away. Like, she threw the lavender away, buried it underneath all the trash in her trash can, because she was just like, what is this weirdness? But honestly, but then, whenever she was ready, she researched, and then she came back to me and she was like, listen, this is what I did. I threw that lavender away, but now I'm ready. Like, I've done some research. I found out there's real science behind it, and now I want to try it. And it worked for her. And then, and now she's a successful business builder, and, her whole family uses it. But that's the only time that I can think of, even that someone, well, I guess I wouldn't know, but like, I was just ready to be that weird person. And I've had so many people just thank me. It's so worth it, like, to just step out on a limb and be like, I don't know if this is going to help you or not, but here's this thing. And then for them to come back, like you said, and there's always a testimony. Like, I haven't ever had anyone be like, oh, you know what? Take this back. This was crap. Like, no one's ever done that. Like, everyone's like, thank you so much for caring about me. Thank you so much for like caring enough to speak up and share that with me. Like, my kid slept through the night, or I haven't sneezed since you taught me the, cheek swipe thing with the lavender in my cheeks, like, or whatever, like that kind of stuff. It's worth it. It's, any kind of like uncomfortableness. Another thing I was going to say is, for those of us who have been in it for a long time, we might need to get back to like, even just keeping a journal, or like writing it all out, like maybe even just like one session of a brain dump of like all the things that we use oils for, because it's such a part of my life now that I don't think about taking a picture every time I use something, or, sharing it every time, just because it's a part of my life, like all day long. And, whenever I used to teach classes a whole lot more frequently, and I used to get nervous, like towards the beginning, I already had all this experience and I already had all these testimonies, but sometimes I would have to like take myself in the bathroom and look in the mirror and be like, what's wrong with you? Like snap out of this. Just go back in there and tell them like how you use thieves, how you use lavender, how you use peppermint. Like, you use these things all day long. Like, why are you getting hung up on saying the right thing or saying the wrong thing? Like I'd literally be like, come on, like, snap out of this. You know exactly what you do. Like, this is your whole life. Get in there. And I still, like, now that I'm stepping back into it more often, I just have to tell myself that too. Like, I will miss an opportunity. Someone will be sitting next to me at a conference or something and saying something. And my mind is so full of everything else that's going on in the world and in my life that like, it doesn't come naturally for me to be like, oh, this person just told me she had a headache. Like, normally I would be like, here's my deep relief. And I have all the stuff with me, but my mind is so full of all the other stuff that it just doesn't come as naturally. So we got to get back. We got to get back into that. We got to be reminded that people need what we have and that they appreciate what we have to share. Okay, who else has something? Does anybody else have something to share before I open it up to questions? I'm looking at some people like straight in the eye and their little tiny screen. Hoping that you'll be like, yeah, I do. I'm just kidding. I love all of your faces so much. Okay, if no one else has anything to share, I want to be sure that we have time to open it up to questions, like anything, any kind of questions, concerns, anything that you guys want to talk about while you have all of these business people on this call. Like, what do you have? What do you have to ask anyone? Okay, Bridget asked, can you explain about new signups in the new system? What specifically, Bridget, would you want to unmute and ask specifically like what your question is?
Hey, so I haven't signed up in a while, and I've heard the other day that when you signed up, you can just literally throw a lip gloss over in the subscribe to save and they're good. So I'm kind of confused about like what we can do for like the new website and all that. Like, what does that entail and all the details?
Does anyone have a concise answer? I mean, I'm happy to answer that, but does anyone have like a quick, concise answer that they want to share?
I guess I'll share. It's really super simple. So it's 2 ways to unlock the discount when someone is enrolling. You can obviously anyone can just buy retail, just like any regular customer. But if you want to unlock the 24% discount, they just need to have a 100 PV order, like the initial 100 PV order, or one item and subscribe to save, just like you said, like a lip gloss, a lip balm, hand sanitizer, thieves cleaner, whatever it is, just one item, or a 100 PV order, and that gets you the discount. But they can enroll with anything, doesn't have to be a kit. Does that help? So it definitely, it sounds, I think a lot of people are super intimidated by the word change or different or new system. But thankfully they have streamlined it to make it so easy, and that way that it's like simple to get started now.
Yeah, so if they take it out of subscribe to save, then they were to buy something else, then they would pay retail. So you have to either have that 100 PV order that unlocks it for 12 months, or you have to have an item and subscribe to save.
And the 100 PV, like you said, will unlock it for a whole 12 months.
Yeah, and loyalty rewards is now what? Central Rewards?
No, Essential Rewards is now loyalty rewards.
Yeah, I'm saying is loyalty rewards is what Essential Rewards used to be called. Yes, and it's the same. So 50 PV has to be over 50 PV. You have to have that in consecutive months. Okay, so with subscribe to save, you can put something on subscribe to save to repeat every other month, right? But you're not on loyalty rewards unless it's consecutive, right? So if you miss a month, then you go back to 10%, just like
you're basically, to help you remember it, is you're being rewarded for loyalty. So you're going to be rewarded with points back if you are a loyal customer of ordering 50 PV consecutively.
Yes, Bethany, if they subscribe and they're over 50 PV, they automatically get their loyalty rewards points back. Okay. If they're doing that like intermittently, then it's just going to be 10%, right? But if it's the same, for 1 to 3 is 10%, 4 to 24 is 20%, and then 25 months and over is the 25%.
So it's definitely more streamlined, even though at first it feels like it's not.
And there are still starter kits to get people started with as well.
Starter
bundles. It's a new way.
Does that make sense to everyone? Okay, what other questions do you guys have? So they have to order 100 PV to unlock. It's they either have to order 100 PV or put something in subscribe to save to unlock the 20% discount.
Yeah, one thing for clarity, Bridget, is going to be you don't even have to have the word member anymore and just think they're either a customer or they're a brand partner. Okay, so just anyone can come to the site and shop. They're just a customer, right? And so they can either pay retail or they can pay wholesale by those two ways that we just talked about. And then they can upgrade to be a brand partner.
Yeah.
So those are the two classifications.
And
for
say
people.
like they started with something in their subscription and then they got off, and then they did a 100 PV order, then they would just unlock it
Mhm.
for like another 12 months. You get what I'm saying? Like it's the initial 100 PV or 100 PV at some time that unlocks it for 12 months or at least one item on subscribe to save.
And the beautiful thing about the website, so it's had its things, you know, they're working on it constantly and to
Mhm.
improve it. One of the beautiful things about the website is it actually communicates that to the customer, right? So if they put something on subscribe to save, then it tells them that it's wholesale, or it tracks, like if they're at 79 PV, it says just 21 more PV, and then you're going to unlock this thing. So it's able to communicate that with them, just like they would if you were to go shop anywhere else, right?
Mhm.
If you're able to go to shop pretty much anywhere, you can, you know, what is it? Free shipping, you know, if you spend a certain amount of money or whatever those things are, right?
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah,
very user friendly.
It's very user friendly. Like you said, it's communicating with you the whole time. It's like, you know, our other site was ancient, guys. Like it was like literally like we were living in, it was bad. But now it's just, like you said, it's just like any other site you go to. And so I encourage anyone who is struggling to just kind of like reframe our thoughts of like, and tell ourselves, oh my gosh, I can totally do this. Like this is easy. This is simple. And I can help people like navigate this. I am so smart and capable because you are. Like that's the thing, is like we know you are. And there's also little tutorials at the top that you can go through. They're really short and easy. And I would encourage every brand partner to go through them because it helps you, and then it helps you to be able to share with other people. And then you can like quickly send that to them too. Hey, look, did you go through that little tutorial? Super quick and easy. And I promise it's going to help you because I'm a visual learner and you may be too. And I like to see things and like how it happens. And so just kind of like being empathetic towards that and then giving them that tool and resource.
Yeah, I agree. And also just going through it. I mean, I know I was like paralyzed for the first like month or so after the changes until I was like, okay, I'm just going to go through it as if I'm brand new and I'm trying to figure it out. And even just going through it myself and being like, oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, and trying to forget what I already knew, but it is easier. And yeah, there are glitches sometimes with the website. I mean, there are things that we have to fix, but by and large, it's a lot easier. It's just that we got so used to the old system and selling, which is so amazing. I mean, the one thing that I keep telling myself and other people as well is like, if we could learn how to pitch that starter kit and pitch it good, like we did, and sign so many people up with like, you have to do it this way. Oh, you just need Progessence Plus? Well, for the low price of 160, you can get like this starter kit, and then you can, you know, buy your Progessence Plus at a discount. Like we got really, really good at doing that. And if we could do that, like what we're doing now is so much easier. And then usually, honestly, everyone I've signed up in the past couple of months, I just tell them like, whatever you're ordering, it almost always adds up to 100 anyway. So I'm like, whatever you're ordering, make sure that it's 100 just so that it unlocks it automatically. I actually haven't signed anyone up yet that just tried to get on subscribe to save and get the discount that way. It's still a viable option, but I mean, it's not hard to spend $100 the first time you order, you know? Okay. What other questions do you guys have? We're kind of down. We have like 3 more minutes, and I want to be super respectful of everyone's time, but I also want to make sure that you guys have questions answered. So don't feel like there's anything that you can't ask or share. Anything at all, y'all? Okay, well, I guess we'll just close it out. And I just want to tell you guys, thank you so much. And I hope you are in the Rise to Rank group. And if you're not, figure out how to get in there. We'll show you how to get in there. In Essential Families Business Community and probably the other groups, there's a link to get in there. And we're going to try to do this once a month. Bring your questions like next time. Bring your questions and be ready. If you guys have any questions later, like I'll post the replay to this and you guys can post questions under it, or you can message any of us and we'll be happy to have a conversation with you. We might not know the answers, but we'll help you find them. Thank you guys so much for taking time out of your Monday. Really, really, really appreciate it. Love you guys. See you later.